Okay, people are still piling in the room, but I think we'll get cracking. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's an international call. My name is Richard Maude. I'm an independent member with CashFX. I've been with the company now for 13 months. It's been an amazing experience, and on this call today I thought I'd do something a bit different from some of the other trainings we've been doing on Saturday. I've decided that we're going to cover today a bit more on the due diligence on CashFX. It's really important that you actually understand what you've got with CashFX, and the foundation is knowing that you're in a very good business. It's very hard to build anything if you have doubts, and I was talking to one of my leaders the other day, and he mentioned that he'd had some people sort of being a bit negative in one of his WhatsApp groups, and I asked him why that was, and he sort of said, oh, you know, some people still have doubts, that kind of thing. And very often it's because they haven't done proper due diligence on the project that this happens. And this is why I'm in the business. For those of you that don't know me, my background, I've been involved in network marketing for 20 years. Originally, I was a sales and marketing director in the City of London, but I'm also a traditional business person as well. I've been company directors for many years, many companies over the years. Most recently, I was the company director of a company called Deval. And I also invest in startup companies, quite significant sums, up to £250,000 into some projects. And my goodness, people are still jumping in. And I also raise funds for projects as well. We're currently working on projects of anywhere from 20 to 200 million pounds. Everything from satellites through to state-of-the-art pipelines, etc. So due diligence is very close to my heart. It's something that I do, particularly if I'm investing into a startup company. And early on in my career, I wasn't actually doing proper due diligence. I was just jumping into deals because someone said it was okay to do so. And I got burnt a couple of times as a result of that. So one of the reasons why I've actually been out of the industry for probably 3 years until I found CashFX was simply because I then applied the same principles I applied when I'm investing into a startup company, and did proper due diligence on the projects. And unfortunately, as is the case in the marketplace that we're in right now, all of the companies didn't stack up. There was always something wrong with them. There wasn't the liquidity in the market to enable the company to grow. The people behind it, you know, were not skilled enough or had the finances to take the project forward. The business model was non-sustainable. That was a very common one, etc. You know, some of them were just outright Ponzi's. And so that's why I was out of the industry, because I just couldn't find anything. As soon as I started doing any proper due diligence on a project, it then didn't stack up. So when John Kinnear, those of you who may know John, who is now the marketing director, he wasn't the marketing director at the time, approached me regarding CashFX, I knew already that it would probably be something that was worthwhile looking at, simply because of the fact that John is very much like me. He won't just jump into any old project. He's someone that is very analytical in his approach, even more so than I am. So I knew that he'd have looked into it quite significantly before he showed it to me. And sure enough, you know, when I looked at it, I was very impressed with what I saw, and certainly enough to join the business. And then we did further due diligence. John then went over and spent 3 days with the owners, went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And that is what, you know, now gives me the confidence to be able to go out there and recommend the business the way I am, because everything stacks up. Now, it's really important to understand in any business that there's no such thing as a guarantee. It doesn't exist. You know, is it likely that CashFX is going to fail? Absolutely not, and I'll show you the reasons why. It is extremely likely that CashFX is going to be around long term, with everything they've got set up and everything that they are doing and everything we're seeing they're doing, which is the key thing. But no guarantees. It just doesn't happen in business. I wish it did. You know, when I'm investing into a startup company, it would be lovely to know that for a fact that you've got a guaranteed business that is definitely going to be around long term, or is going to be successful. But unfortunately, that just does not exist. But you can minimize the risk by going through the due diligence. And that's what I thought I'd share with you today. Some of you have seen my business overviews, that I do go through quite a bit of the due diligence on the project. But that's just almost an overview. I'm going to go through a couple more things with you today that perhaps you would not know about, again, from my point of view, makes CashFX special, the way they're setting it up and everything else. So whilst this is a slightly, perhaps, unusual training session, it's nevertheless really important you understand this. If you guys have seen my goal setting training, one of the first things I say is make sure that you've done your due diligence on the project and you're happy with it. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to build a business. You're going to end up sitting on the fence, doing very little, worrying about whether you should show other people and that kind of thing. And as I said, it's the same thing. When I'm raising funds for an investment project, I'm not telling the investors that the business is guaranteed to be successful. As I said, there's no such thing. We just show them the opportunity and go through the due diligence with them on the project so that they can see that it is worthwhile, putting their money into the project. And this is no different. So you've just got to have that confidence in the project and understand where it's going. In the next couple of months, the company is going to be launching some things which are off the charts incredible and will absolutely explode the business. So you are in an incredible place. So I will be talking about that as well. A lot of the due diligence I'm going to be talking about today is actually going to become a moot point when we get those new products and things like that, because you really won't have to do the due diligence that we're doing now because of them. And in fact, the presentations are going to be very short as a result. Goodness, people still piling in the room. So let me just go through some of the key things. I'll go through some of the general overview parts of due diligence, and then I'll go into some of the more detailed stuff that perhaps you are unaware of. So let me just share my screen. If you're someone that's not used the Power Build system yet, then go back, watch the videos. Really important you learn the Power Build system. It's been designed to really help people build the business. People that are using it are getting remarkable results. Those of you will know Hazel Moore, for example, the 68-year-old grandmother. She has been using it from day one, and she has now introduced 60 people. She's never done network marketing before. She's introduced 60 frontline people personally using the system. So if you're not using the Power Build system, then if you're serious about building the business, then you really, really need to get involved in it. So go back, go to the library. And if you haven't got the links to the library, get to your upline and ask them for them, so that you can go and study. They've got videos in there that you can watch step by step, which will teach you how to do the Power Build system. Okay, so let's go through some of the key things about CashFX that makes it special. And first and foremost, I've already mentioned this, is the fact that we are in the foreign exchange market, and that has the liquidity we need for the company to be able to grow. It is the most liquid and consolidated market in the world. It's a $5.3 trillion a day market. So often when I look at projects, I've seen really good money-making projects, everything from crypto to even Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining, arbitrage, things like this. These are all good money-making projects. The problem is they're not good for a network marketing business because there isn't the liquidity in those markets to enable a network marketing company to grow. Because a network marketing company like CashFX will become very large very quickly. And therefore, you could be trading serious amounts of money. And if you don't have the liquidity in the market, then you're going to hit the bump stops very quickly. Even Bitcoin, for example, only has a $100 billion market cap. It is, hang on one second. Yeah, so this was one of the first tick boxes for us when we looked at the project, the fact that you've got that liquidity there. This is why the banks and institutions dominate the market, because they know they can trade billions of dollars and make billions of dollars without any problems at all in this market. So that was the first tick box for us. The second is the fact that it is historically proven to be recession proof, which of course is important in any market, but right now particularly important, obviously with everything that's going on around the world, to have a business that is recession proof. And the reason it's this recession proof, remember, we're talking about currency differences between the currencies around the world, so you're still going to have those fluctuations between the currencies. It doesn't matter what's going on, whether there's a depression or whatever, you're still going to be able to trade those particular markets. Other things that we looked at were things like, the risk management strategies of the company. Again, unfortunately, there have been quite a lot of MLM companies in this marketplace, but really they just haven't been set up properly. And I've often seen companies that have risk management strategies that are terrible. I regularly get pitched on things, and I look at their drawdown and I see a drawdown of 50–60%. Then yes, they may be getting high returns, but the reality is they are gambling with your money, and it's just a matter of time before they blow their account, which is what happens again and again and again. This is one of the reasons why the Forex market in the MLM arena hasn't particularly got a good reputation, because so many companies fall into that kind of category. But CashFX, they've got a drawdown as low as 3%. So they're doing it properly. And that's where the skill comes in, getting a low drawdown, but still giving the high returns that the company's getting. Now, one of the most important due diligence indicators, and something that a lot of people underestimate. I often hear people saying, "Oh yeah, but I need proof of the trading." I've heard things like what's it called, FX Blue Book, things like that. Well, the problem is the company launched or did something like that. The challenge with that is very simple. Is that how many CashFX members would be able to read and understand that document? The answer is, I would say 99% of members wouldn't have a clue what that is. It wouldn't mean anything to most people unless you are an experienced trader. Also, that can be doctored as well. It's no absolute guarantees. I've seen companies over the years that have provided that, which are no longer around today because they weren't particularly good companies. So it doesn't really mean much. But what really means something is when you've got a multi-award-winning, multi-regulated broker who can see firsthand what CashFX are doing. So these guys are the broker. So CashFX makes a trade, they instigate the trades electronically, so they can see how much money CashFX is trading, they can see how they're trading exactly because they're instigating the trades, and they can see the end result. So for this company to be publicly recommending CashFX, as I said, a lot of people underestimate this, is remarkable, and gives no doubt that the trading is real, because there are two scenarios here. The people that doubt whether the trading is real, what they're effectively saying is that the directors of EverFX clearly like jail food and have decided they want to put themselves, their business out of business and themselves in jail by recommending a Ponzi, which they can see firsthand is not trading. Now, in due diligence, there's never any absolutes, any 100%. So that's one option. The other option is CashFX is in fact doing exactly what they say they're doing. And as a multi-regulated company, they've been so impressed with what they're seeing, they feel confident enough to recommend us. Now, from a due diligence business point of view, I would suggest that it's the latter scenario that is the accurate one, not the former one. And so that's the point. If you've got a multi-awarding, multi-regulated company, a company, by the way, which are the global sponsors of Sevilla Football Club. For those of you that are not into your football, Sevilla are one of the top clubs in Europe. They're number 3 in the Spanish league at the moment. So they've just won the UEFA Cup. I think they're the highest. They've won it more times than any other football club. The other sponsor of Sevilla is Nike. So you've got to be a very serious company to sponsor a football club at that level. You know, you go to their ground and you can see EverFX all the way around, you know, so it's a very serious company. So for them to be recommending CashFX the way they are basically just sums it up. Now, all of this, by the way, as I've already hinted, is going to become a moot point, simply because in the next 2 months, in November, we are launching copy trading. And what copy trading is that CashFX members will be given the option to set up a broker account, an MT4 account, directly with EverFX, not even coming through CashFX, going to a regulated account. Now, again, for those of you that don't know what a regulated account is, it basically means that your money's as safe as a bank account. In fact, I would argue safer than a bank account, because one of the things that most people don't realize is when you deposit your funds into a bank account, it's no longer your money. It's basically the bank's money. And we've had a couple of very interesting situations with people in my team where multi-millionaire businessmen have wanted to put quite a lot of money into CashFX, and they have gone to their bank and said, right, we want to buy Bitcoin, and the bank has refused. And the people involved have said, well, what do you mean? You know, refuse? It's my money. I can do whatever I want with it. And the response they got was extraordinary. No, sir, the money isn't your money. It now belongs to us, and we'll give it to you as and when we feel fit to do so. So a lot of people don't realize that when you deposit your money, it's no longer your money. It belongs to the bank. And if the bank decides not to give you that money, it's completely within their rights to do so. With a regulated broker account, your money's still your money, and you can withdraw it at any time. So that's the point. When you set up a regulated broker account, no one else has access to that money at all. Only you have. You have access to that money 24/7. And so once we get the copy trading product, you'll be able to set up a broker account directly with EverFX. And you've, as I said, got access to that money 24/7. No one else can touch it. And basically CashFX makes the trades, and your account will then electronically copy that trade. So you won't be doing any trading yourself or even have to know anything about trading, but your account will be trading like you are trading. And you'll be seeing those returns every single day in that account. Now that can't be faked. You know, that's your own broker account. No one can touch that, etc. And so think about that from a business point of view. What we're going to be offering people in the next couple of months is an opportunity to set up a broker account directly with the broker, so their money is completely ring-fenced, completely protected. It doesn't matter what happens with CashFX. If CashFX fails or collapses, doesn't matter. Your money's in your own broker account. It's your money. It's safe there. We're going to have no upfront fees, no monthly fees. And with the EA switch back on again, which I'll talk about in a minute, we can see returns as high as 15%. So that's what we're going to be offering people in just a couple of months. You know, a way to set up a broker account with no upfront fees, no monthly fees. You've got access to your money 24/7. No one else has got access to that money. It doesn't matter what happens with CashFX, and you're getting up to 15% a week. Any questions? That's going to be it. Why do you need any more due diligence than that? You might want to look into EverFX. If you do, they're going to be mightily impressed. So remarkable. But right now, we have to show people that this is, you know, the opportunity is a very serious opportunity. And the fact that you've got a multi-award winning, multi-regulated company like EverFX, who can see firsthand what CashFX is doing publicly on record on multiple occasions, videos out there where they're doing it, strongly recommending CashFX, means that the trading is real. And if the trading is real, then everything else with regard to the business flows from there. And I'll be talking about that in a minute. People still jumping in. So again, the people behind the company, and again, I've seen a lot of rubbish written about the owners of CashFX. There is a massive amount of misinformed rubbish out there. Huáscar Lopez is a very, very successful individual. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's got huge investments in property, land, in manufacturing facilities, government contracts. He is very successful Bitcoin trader as well. He's got over 10,000 Bitcoin currently. I don't know, it's between 10, 20,000. He sold $90 million worth in 2017 before the crash. And, you know, he lives in the US, again, key thing from a due diligence point of view. He's accessible. We're working with him directly. He's investing millions of dollars of his own money into the project. You know, this is his passion. This is his baby, if you like. And so we've got a guy here that's running the company that is a very, very capable businessman, really knows what he's doing. And again, from a due diligence point of view, is investing millions of dollars into the project. Ponzi's do not do that, guys. Okay, just understand that. You know, why would someone, if they're setting up a Ponzi, they don't want to spend money, they just want to make money. And so again, this guy is doing it right. This is what we're seeing. And in November, there are going to be some incredible things coming when we get that. So we're going to see all of this coming in November. Which is just going to blow everyone away because it's going to be no doubt in anyone's mind at that point that this company is the real deal and very special. But this is something that we've seen. You know, John went and spent 3 days with the guys, went through absolutely everything with them. I felt sorry for them when he went over there because anyone that knows John, he can be quite blunt in his approach, and he went through absolutely everything with them in detail. And he came away blown away with what he saw. And everything the company said they're going to deliver on, they've delivered on since, you know, we've been with the company now for 13 months or so. So remarkably impressed with what these guys are doing. He's also, by the way, got a very strong network marketing background. And that, again, gives him knowledge and understanding of how to make a business like this successful and give us what we want. Edwin, again, he is a world-class trader. You know, you've got the broker recommending, you know, Edwin, or just talking about him. High praise indeed. When you get a broker that, remember, can see thousands of traders talk about Edwin as someone that makes magic in the marketplace, trades without emotion, which is a really important skill. It's a top-end skill to be able to trade without emotion. And so to get that kind of recommendation from a third-party regulated company is a real plus. And of course, we've seen the results firsthand. So yeah. Now, 60,000 active members around the world. We haven't even started yet. And 185 countries. 209,000 successful payouts. This is something that always makes me smile about often the due diligence, in inverted commas, done by network marketers. They think that just because a company pays them, therefore it must be real. Well, in the history of Ponzi's, every single Ponzi out there pays people up front. So actual payments don't really mean that much from a due diligence point of view. They're nice. And obviously the company now has been trading for 13, 14 months, very successfully, has paid out every time on time. That's an important thing to look at. But it's not the most important thing from a due diligence point of view. It's the other things around that that are really important. The technology, again, the company's using is proprietary, it's in-house developed, and that's something that's really important that I'm going to talk about now. So this is a really important thing. I've seen companies in the Forex market that have live traders only. So they're not using a bot, they're just live traders. Now, these individuals may be very good traders. The problem is that, think about it, the market is traded Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. And that is week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, year after year after year. Think about that. Is it likely that live traders are going to have a period when they're perhaps not performing very well? The likelihood of that is very high, and this is something that we see. Then I see companies out there that have just a bot, a bought off the shelf EA or expert advisor that does a lot of the trading. And again, that is problematic, because a machine is very good at certain aspects, but it's a fixed entity. And if the markets change, and they always do, over a period of time, then you can end up getting into trouble, that the machine performs less well or even not at all. Now, what CashFX is doing is special because they've developed the system themselves. Edwin is not only a very good trader, but his background is as an engineer. He ran a very successful US-based, New York-based engineering company. So his knowledge of these kinds of things is high up there. So they've developed their own system. And John Lovestop here on the bottom right here, he is the another engineer on the project. Now, I don't know John personally, but interestingly, I've met people or spoken to people in my team that do actually know John, and they were mightily impressed when they heard that he was involved, because of the fact that he's known as a world-class engineer. So it's a combination of the traders, engineers with the EA system that makes what CashFX is doing special. So basically, the EA is doing the heavy lifting. And the reason that we get higher returns with expert advisors is simply because it can do more volume of trades. It can trade 24 hours a day. A human being obviously can't. It can also make thousands of trades. It can do things like scalping, where it's making very fast trades, money in, money out, just taking a little profit off the top each time. Which basically makes it very effective. It keeps the risk low and the returns high. So the machine isn't necessarily better than the traders, but it just can do more volume. That's the key thing there. And so what these guys are doing, the pressure is off them. Now, we know these guys can trade very well because currently they are live trading at the moment. The machine has been switched off for this big upgrade that they've done. Version 2, which is currently being live tested. The fact the company hasn't launched it means to me that they're going to probably launch it at the event in November, which is typical of Waskar. He likes to keep it, these things for big events. But when we do see the EA launched again, as I said, we could see returns as high as 15%, certainly regularly over 10% on a weekly basis, which is absolutely phenomenal. But again, typical of the company, they don't rush anything. They never rush anything. As networkers, we want it now, but they won't do that. They're testing it in the background, testing, and so the longer they test it, the more comfortable they're going to be when they launch it. And that's what you want. You want a company that is not listening to us because we don't necessarily know what we're talking about. They're looking at it from a proper professional point of view and will launch the product when it is ready to be launched. Which is something I really like. They are protecting our fund. So, when the virus, the lockdown hit, John Wilson, the lead trader on the bottom left there, he made the decision at that point that it was a good time to actually switch the EA off so that they could then develop it, get it perfected before launching it back on. Because again, at the same time, there was potential unpredictability in the market because, of course, what's going on right now is an unprecedented situation. And so, typical of them, they're cautious. They decided to do that. They've been manually trading, getting returns of 5 to 7% a week, which are absolutely outstanding. But as soon as we get that EA switch back on again, we could see absolutely extraordinary returns again. But the key thing is this. What they've set up here is, so they've got the EA system, which is obviously world-class. It's a system that they know how to use because they've developed it. They can adapt it. So it's the best of both worlds. We've got the traders that are monitoring the market, not under pressure, because the machine is doing most of the heavy lifting. But if they can see markets are changing, that the machine is starting to not perform so well, they can actually have the option to switch the machine off, start trading manually, and get the machine brought up to date, adapted, and optimized. And that's what gives this its longevity. So whatever happens in the market, the machine will be able to adapt. So we get the best of both worlds long term. And the traders are not put under pressure because, as I said, the machine is doing most of the heavy lifting moving forward. So that's, again, another really important aspect of what we're seeing here. And as I said, combined with the low drawdown of 3%, they're doing a remarkable job. Same thing with the technology consultant. Again, this is something else that a lot of people underestimate. The conversion pros are a world-class company. If you come across someone that knows the conversion pros, they'll go, wow, are they involved? That is impressive. Because these guys are a very serious company, US-based company. They are in 60 countries around the world. They work with Fortune 500 companies. They're a serious operation. And so to see a company at this stage, this early stage, to have these guys on board is very impressive, because the best is not the cheap option. And as you will have seen, you think about that. I mean, I've been involved in startup companies, both in network marketing and also in traditional business. I've been a corporate director, in a startup situation. I've seen that it is challenging initially, because you're building everything on a shoestring. Which is the norm. You have to get the business going, get some traction before you start getting investment coming into the project. But in CashFX, because the owners are so wealthy, already very successful, and prepared to invest into the project, they're investing very heavily. Hence why we've got guys like this. And again, for those of you that have been involved in startup companies over the years, you'll know what I'm talking about here. The whole thing from start to finish has been remarkably smooth. You've had so few little glitches along the way. There are things that need to be improved, sure, but that's exactly what we're getting. In fact, I was talking to Waskar the other day, and he was saying to me that they're considering this year as the construction phase. There's huge amounts of money being invested in all sorts of projects going on behind the scenes, so that next year is going to be the momentum phase. As we know, the company's already growing very quickly, but next year it's going to explode, particularly once we get the copy trading and some of the other things that we're getting. So the fact that we've got these guys behind the company is a real plus and a real tick box from a due diligence point of view, because these guys don't just work with anyone. They also can see firsthand exactly what CashFX are doing, because they are the technology consultant. They've sort of set up all the legal teams and everything else. But it's in addition to that, the fact that Ron Pope, and many of you will have seen videos of interviews with Ron, the fact that he's actually joined the business and is actually referring members is quite extraordinary. Again, because he's been involved with many companies over the years, had no interest in joining those, but he's been so impressed with what he's seen with CashFX that he's joined the business. And again, this is a US-based businessman, same as Waskar, a significant amount to lose. There's no way. In fact, it makes me laugh. I've heard people comment online, oh, I can't believe that Ron Pope's got involved with a Ponzi. It's like, duh, it's the whole point. It's not a Ponzi. That's why he's got involved with it, you see, so-and-so. So that's the thing. When we first saw this, and, we've spoken to Ron and everything else, this is a mighty big tick box with regard to CashFX. And then, of course, finally, and by no means least, we have the head office. And again, this can't be underestimated. CashFX has spent $2.2 million on their headquarters. And let me ask you a question. In the history of Ponzi's, how many had a $2.2 million headquarters? None, not one. Why on earth would a company being set up as a Ponzi spend $2.2 million on a headquarters? Again, Ponzi's do not work like that. There's no way. What they'll have is a leased office. And I tell you, there are Ponzi's out there right now that people have told me about, and I've had a quick look at. Ponzi all over them. But again, leased office, and what they're doing is they're promoting that they've got an office, but it's just a leased office, which doesn't mean anything. It's just a toe in the water. I'll also ask you another question. In the history of network marketing, how many companies set up from the beginning with a $2.2 million headquarters? I don't know of anyone. Sure, there are companies right now that have got headquarters purchased, some of the legacy companies out there, companies like Amway and Herbalife, etc. I'm sure those have got purchased headquarters. But the fact is, it is a very rare thing. And certainly for a startup company, not just in this industry, in any industry, by the way, to have a purchased office at this stage. So what does that mean? It means that the company is absolutely certain that they're going to be around long term. You know, just because someone's wealthy, and Waskar is very wealthy, and he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, doesn't mean he's just going to throw his money away. He's not just going to put $2.2 million into a headquarters, knowing that the company's not going to be around long term. That is just not going to happen. You think about it, if you were in his position, would you do that? Of course you wouldn't. So that's the point. He has tremendous confidence in what they're doing here with CashFX. Just one second. Just want to do this. There we go. So he has tremendous confidence in the business to be doing this. It's a sign that they are expecting to be around very long term. And of course, this office, I understand, I mean, obviously depending on what's happening with the virus, but Waskar is working very hard behind the scenes to upgrade to actually open the office in October. That's the game plan. So they want the offices up and running by the convention in November. And when the offices are open, they're going to be state of the art. They're going to have the most advanced trading floor in the whole of the Southern Hemisphere. Quite a statement. We as members will be able to visit the office anytime. It's going to have an open door policy, be shown around, see the operation and stuff moving forward. So again, this is going to be a real asset for the business. But again, just as I must recap, you know, for a company to invest $2.2 million in a headquarters is a huge tick box when it comes to a business like this. So again, hopefully you're starting to see a bit of a pattern forming here with regard to, you know, what we've got here with CashFX. Now, one of the other aspects of the business we looked at, not just, you know, those overall big picture stuff, we also looked at the maths on the plan. And again, this is something that obviously if I'm doing a presentation, I'm not going to go into detail. It's just way too much information if I'm just doing a business overview. But as you are existing members in the business, again, it's good for you to know this. It's one of the things I often hear is, you know, when they see the sort of money being made, oh, you know, that sounds too good to be true. So let's do the maths on this so you can see exactly, you know, how this works. Now, one of the first things we looked at when we looked at the project was making sure there was nothing like fixed percentage returns, fixed time frames for packs to complete, compounding. If we'd seen any of those, we wouldn't have joined CashFX, because in the history of companies that offer those features, not one is around today, because it's not sustainable. Just think about that. We're in an organic market. The traders, as you've seen, they get different returns on a weekly basis depending on how well they've done that week. So it fluctuates. If a company gives a fixed percentage return, how is that possible? It's not possible. I've seen companies out there which were huge businesses. You know, people were joining them in droves. They had a huge number of members, but it made me laugh because one in particular, their business model was investing in property development, in startup companies. Guess what? That's what I do. Now, and then they were paying out a fixed percentage return of 20%. Impossible, absolutely impossible. When you invest in a startup company, it can be years before you see a return on that. So again, because it sounded impressive, a lot of people were joining that company and they were getting a 20% return, which is wonderful. But the bottom line is very simple. What was happening was the money was coming in from new people joining the business. That is a Ponzi, where new people coming in is powering the payments for the other people that are in the business. And as I'm going to show you, that is not the case with CashFX. And also, same thing with compounding. Compounding, if you're investing in, you know, trading yourself or whatever, that's fine, that's perfect. But if you're talking about a network marketing business, it's not sustainable, because you can have hundreds of thousands, even millions of members, you know, all compounding. All of a sudden, you're talking about trillions of dollars being traded or whatever the product is. Not sustainable in a network marketing concept. So luckily, CashFX does not do any of those things. And one of the key things is if the traders are doing well, the pack speeds up. If the traders are doing less well, the pack slows down. You'll note that CashFX never talks about timeframes on packs being completed. It's a question that's often asked, but the answer is a pack will complete when it completes. Now, obviously, if we're getting a 10, 15% return a week, then the packs are growing at a remarkably fast rate, which is the whole point of the business. But the fact is there are no guarantees on any aspects of the business, which is exactly as it should be. So that's a couple of things there. But now let's just have a look at the maths on the sustainability of the way this works. So here we've got this example. So this slide here is actually one of the most important slides in the presentation. As I said, it's not something that I dwell on too much in a presentation. I just give a skim over, but I'm going to go into a bit more depth with you guys so you understand about how this works. So when someone buys a 1K pack, which is the example here, that is someone coming in with money from outside. They've earned that from their job or business or whatever. They've come in and they've purchased a 1K pack with CashFX. So that is new money coming into the project. The 1K is then split. 70% goes to the trading account and 30% then goes towards the Academy pack, and 100% of that is then paid out by the company. Now, a couple of things here. First and foremost, you'll have noted, where's CashFX making their money? And again, this was a tick box for us because it's really important that the company is making money from a project. You want them to be making a lot of money. It's an incentive for them to do the business. Now, when you talk to Waskar, he'll tell you that he set the company up as a way of helping people. And if you look at the plan and how it works and what they're doing, he's absolutely right. That is exactly the case. As we know, every single CashFX member makes money with CashFX. However, as nice as Waskar is, he's also a very, very shrewd businessman. And the way they've set this up is he knows the company is also going to make an absolute fortune. And as I said, I'm very happy with that because I want the company to make a lot of money because it incentivizes them for them to be around with us long term. So basically, the company takes a percentage off the top. Let's say we see a 10% return. So they might have, I don't know the numbers, but let's say just for sake of example, it was 12% they actually made, and they take that as a fee. That's how they make their money. I often hear the question, oh, well, if CashFX is so clever with all this, why do they need us? Well, they don't need us. That's the bottom line. However, it's good business because, of course, we are building up a massive fund for them, which they're taking that 2% off the top, and that's where they're making their money. So it's a win-win situation. We are making money, they are making money, which is very clever. But you note they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're making their money from the trading. So again, they're not making any money here. So they must be making their money, from the trading, which is exactly what you want to see in a project like this. The other thing that is really important is we don't receive any payments on the trading account here. We only get paid on the Academy program. Now, the Academy program, by the way, is going to be officially launched in November, and this is going to be a world-class training program. It is going to be a government-accredited training program. Now, again, think about that. In the world, how many network marketing companies have been government accredited? How many Ponzi's have been government accredited? Well, in both cases, the answer is 0. Of course, no government's going to put their name to a Ponzi. And as I said, it's remarkable the fact that a government is putting their name to CashFX, but it shows how special CashFX is and what they're doing. So this is a world-class product. Now, the top pack is going to be $30,000. Is that worth $30,000? Well, there are training programs out there in the Forex world that cost $100,000 a course, and you have to go on multiple courses. So $30,000 is actually a bargain, considering it is going to be a very high caliber training program. So again, in couple of months, we're going to be showing people a world-class training program that they can plug themselves into to learn how to become a Forex trader to a very high standard. So that's our product. That's where we get paid money, but we don't receive any money from the trading side of the business, just from the Academy program. So getting back to the business model. So you come in, you buy a 1K pack, that 70% is taken, the 30% is taken and paid out to the Academy program. And over the course of the pack's life, depending on how the traders are doing, the pack will complete and you will receive $2,000 back, or 200% your original purchase price. Not 200% of the $700, 200% of the original purchase price of $2,000. That's real money that you have withdrawn. And where is that money coming from? That money is coming from a $5.3 trillion a day market. So we know the trading's real. In 2 months, this is going to be copy traded. So the money that you're going to be receiving is directly into your broker account. So that can't be faked. But we already know this is real. We know this money's real because all of us have been withdrawing that money. That is real money. Now, what do you do with that money? Well, you come back in and you buy another pack. Usually you upgrade, but let's for this example, let's say you come back in and repurchase a 1K pack. Now, when you do that, basically, what are you doing? You're putting money from outside from your own wallet back into the company and buying a 1K pack. And when you're doing that, that real money is split into two. 30% goes towards the Academy program and is paid out in the rewards plan. The 70% is then taken, that is then traded, and another $2,000 will be taken from the $5.3 trillion a day market. Is that sustainable? Of course it is. Have you noted, would it matter if no one else joined the business at that point? No, because this would continue completely independently of that. That's one of the fabulous features of CashFX, rare features of CashFX, the fact that business could stop growing tomorrow, and if you're a business builder in the business, you'll still see your income going up and up and up because the people in the business are making the money from the market, which is then driving everything in the rewards plan. So I'm on a 100K pack now. So when I purchase or repurchase a pack, I am putting in $100,000 of my own money that is coming from my own wallet outside of CashFX into CashFX to buy a 100K pack. Then the deal is I will get 70% is taken here, the 30% is taken here, which is huge money. $15,000 goes to my enroller, John, and $15,000 goes into the Unilevel. From a network marketing point of view, most companies out there, they fuel their business from the monthly fees. And of course, we don't have monthly fees in CashFX, but this is what fuels the business. This is why we get paid again and again, but also why we get paid 10 times more than any other business out of there. You think about that, how much can a company charge on a monthly basis as a fee? $100, $200, $250 maybe. You've got to remember that it's a double-edged sword paying a monthly fee though, because that's coming out of people's bank account up front. So what happens is you end up with horrendous attrition in the business. I've been involved in product-based companies over the years. I was the #1 income earner in Europe with a company called Melaleuca, and the attrition was huge, simply because people were having to pay out of their account every month to buy products, and often they were buying more products than they actually needed to use. So that's not a sustainable, well, it is a sustainable business. That's a very successful company. It's $1 billion a year company, but the attrition was too high for me, and I didn't like that. I don't like being in a business. If I'm referring someone to an opportunity, I want them to make money. I don't want them to lose money and then end up quitting. That made me feel like a fraud, because then I had that double-edged thing. Of course, I had to build a business because that was the business. But at the same time, a lot of the people I was introducing, I was thinking to myself, they're probably going to fail. That I didn't like. So that's why I left that company. In CashFX, everyone makes money, so that's the key thing, and that money is coming from the Forex market, which is a sustainable business model, as I've already said. So this is huge money being paid out here, but it's totally sustainable because that 70% is then traded. I receive 2 times my original purchase price back, so I get $200,000 here. I come back in and I buy another $100,000, boom, again and again and again. So when you see people making very serious incomes from CashFX, and in the future, I predict there's going to be members making millions of dollars a week with CashFX. We've done the maths on this, by the way, and yeah, that's exactly what we believe is going to happen. That money is sustainable because it's coming from this market here. So when you look at CashFX, just in summary, I'm going to sort of finish now, but I hope you found that helpful, because if you have any doubts in the back of your mind, and by the way, if your doubts are coming from what you read on Google, stop looking at those things, because they are rubbish. And I will cover that right now. Again, I think I've covered this in the past, but it's important that we just go over that again. Those people are trying to sell you something. They're either, if you go in them, you read their reviews, there'll be adverts there that pop up, things like that. They're trying to sell you. Or at the bottom, they'll say, if you want a real business, come and have a look at this. That's their game plan. They're basically, they're titling it things like honest review, and showing a picture of them holding a baby, all this kind of thing. They are despicable individuals, in my opinion, because they do stop people joining CashFX that are inexperienced, don't know about doing proper due diligence, like I've just gone through with you here, looking at the real things to look at, not just some individual that is trying to sell you into something else. But my annoyance is not the fact those people are not joining our business and we're making money out of them. It's those people are missing out on an incredible life-changing opportunity because they're listening to some, I won't call them what I actually call them in reality, individual that is just trying to, improve their own life by wrecking others, which I think is just an appalling way of doing business. But if you look at any of those things, none of it stacks up. They talk rubbish about the company running out of money. Well, how's the company? I've just shown you here. How's it going to run out of money? It's not. It's set up properly. The people behind it are not billionaires, but they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got everything about the business, the headquarters and everything else all stacks up. You've got multi-award-winning, multi-regulated brokers recommending CashFX. So why would you listen to these guys? If you go through, as I said, through everything they say is inaccurate or just been twisted or whatever. And all they do is they use words like clickbait, words like Ponzi, scam, Often they will not actually say that CashFX is a scam outright, because they know if they did, they could get into trouble legally. So they'll just throw those words in. And what they do is, when you read through the overview, they use those words, spread through. It's called chunking, where you're constantly building up fear in someone's mind, and therefore then they can actually then not join CashFX, or worse still, buy their product or join their business, which that's the one that's almost certainly a Ponzi. So it's pretty, I really have a low opinion of these individuals that do this. But this is why the proper due diligence is so important. So if you've been sort of looking at that stuff and that's been holding you back, then, hopefully today you've understood the reality of the situation. Now, as I said at the beginning, there's no such thing as a guaranteed business. I often talk to people that, they say to me, oh, I've been in, this business or that business, and, I've got a good reputation and I've been let down by those companies. Well, you have to have a choice. It's a very simple choice. You can end up doing nothing for the rest of your life, which is fine, but not recommended, because you're never going to change anything. Or you have to make an informed business decision. And that's what I've done. I've made an informed business decision based on what I've just shown you there. So when I'm recommending people, I do so with confidence. Now, it's going to become so much easier in November when we get all those things. We're going to get the headquarters. We're going to get the, going live. We're going to get copy trading, which just can't be faked, simple as that. So no one can turn around and say, oh, CashFX is this or that. You can't, because as I said, your money's in a regulated broker account. It's actually got virtually nothing to do with CashFX. It wouldn't matter if CashFX failed or whatever. Your money is safe. You can just withdraw your money from the account. We're going to be getting the Academy program, a government accredited program. So again, doesn't get better than that. We're going to get the in-house payment processor, which is going to speed up the payments, make them more consistent. We're going to be getting, and again, Wascar's told me this, they're working on their own wallet, so that when people are buying packs, it's going to become even easier. And that is going to be backed up by banks. Now, again, how many banks do you know get involved in Ponzi's? Well, again, 0. Okay, so that's another thing that we're going to be getting, a wallet backed up by banks. And there are so many other things going on behind the scenes. So this is a very, very special company, guys. You are right in at the very beginning. And I've been doing quite a few presentations just recently for leaders in my teams and their leaders, where I've been talking about this, about understanding what you've got. Once you understand that you've got something really special, something that is genuine, that is something that is set up to be around long term, something that you can refer other people to with your head held high because the due diligence stacks up. As long as you let everyone know that there is no such thing as a guarantee, because it doesn't exist in the world. If anyone tells you there's a guaranteed business, I'm telling you they're lying to you, and I wouldn't go anywhere near that business. But the fact is, you look at the way CashFX stacks up, you can refer people with confidence. And then, as I did last weekend, I went through the rewards plan. Understand that this rewards plan is off the charts as far as income potential for every single one of you on this call. Whether you do a little bit or do a lot, you're going to earn potentially significantly more than you can in anything else out there on the market, short term, but longer term, even more than that, as people's accounts upgrade over time, which is exactly what's going to happen from the $5.3 trillion a day market. Actually, and one thing, I've actually forgot one other additional thing on the due diligence, which I should have actually told you about. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to backtrack and just cover this, because it is important that I tell you about this. One of the things I've already shown you, the way the company's set up, the fact that we're from a $5.3 trillion market, that's sustainable. The fact that if the traders do well, the pack speed up, if the traders do less well, the pack slows down, that's sustainable. I've shown you the fact that they have got traders that are set up in combination with the EA system. It's that combination that, again, should sustain it long term, and we shouldn't see any bad periods. But the company, and Wascar, as I said, he's very experienced in network marketing. He knows that most network marketers are not sophisticated investors or business people at all. They don't understand, that in business, things go up and go down, up and down, up and down, up and down. That is normal. And in trading, the same thing can happen. I've seen world-class traders that have been getting 60% return a month have 3 or 4 months of bad trading. Just happens sometimes. And a sophisticated, investor or trader would understand that is, that's just normal. That's the way things go in business. So you don't look at the dips, you look at the end result at the end of the day. But networkers don't think that way. They want to see a win every single day, regardless. If there's the slightest downturn or whatever, ooh, panic, 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 panic. So CashFX understands that. So they've set up a model that should never happen with the EA systems they've got and everything else. But they've put in one additional feature, which is genius. And I remember John having a meeting with the owners, and it was about a 3-hour meeting, and he came out afterwards and he just said, whoa, he said, what these guys have set up is so clever, because they've put insurance on insurance on insurance to minimize the risk as much as we have. Remember, guys, no such thing as a no risk scenario, but these guys are minimizing the risk as much as they can. And basically what they've done is this. When you get a 1K pack purchase, 70% is taken, that is traded, you receive $2,000 here. But what happens to that original $700? That is kept by the company. So whenever a pack completes or someone renews or whatever, the company gets to keep the original purchase. Now, what are they doing with that money? They're building up a second trading fund. And I'm going to give you an example. These numbers are completely made up just to illustrate how it works. So basically, let's say they have a $10 million fund in trade. So this is money that hasn't completed yet. So this 70% here, hasn't completed at $2,000 yet. So let's say that's a $10 million fund. And we see a return of, let's say, 10% that week on that. So we're seeing a 10% return on a $10 million fund. But the reality is the company's actually been trading 20 million because it's built up a fund of another 10 million. And because of that, they have only had to achieve 5% to give us our 10%. Over time, that fund will get bigger and bigger, and eventually they will end up, say, with a $100 million fund, and we're trading a $10 million fund here that we see a 10% return on that $10 million fund. The reality is they've only had to achieve 1% to give us that 10% because they're trading this larger fund. And when John saw that, I mean, John is a very experienced trader. He hates trading, doesn't do it himself, but one of his best friends is a world-class trader, for example, and he knows everything there is to know about trading. And when he saw that, he was just like, whoa. And I remember him phoning me up after and saying, wow, this is so clever, because it's that additional security that the company's put in place to make sure that we as networkers don't see a downturn. We only see these lovely returns week in, week out. Now, as I said, no guarantees, because even that could potentially go wrong or whatever in the future. There's no guarantees of anything. But as I said, from a due diligence point of view, they are minimizing the risk. So sorry to go back, forgotten about that. But it was a really important point that I had to talk about. So to recap, you are in a business that has got everything set up right. So, have that confidence to be able to go out there and refer people. And let me tell you, there are two kinds of people in the business. There are the people that are going to wait until we get all this lovely stuff and build them. That's okay. You'll do fine with CashFX. You'll do very well with CashFX. That's the whole point of the way CashFX set up. But if you want to make a fortune, you want to build now. You want to build your distribution network before we get those things, because the business is going to explode. My team is currently growing by around 8,000 people a month, but when we get the copy trading, it's going to grow by 20,000 people a month. Why is that going to happen? It's because I've got 28,000 people in my team right now, or 29,000, I think it is now. And what you're going to see is that all those people are suddenly going to go, whoa, this is the real business. People are going to want to jump in because everyone's going to understand that this is probably the first and only business on the market that's genuine and is going to be around long term from a financial point of view rather than a product-based business. So the business is going to absolutely explode. So what you want to do is position yourself ahead of that by having the biggest team you possibly can. Now, I learned this from a friend of mine, a gentleman called Carlos Ray. I was very fortunate when I first started my network marketing career that my upline was Carlos. He was the #1 income earner with the business that I was in. I actually chose him for that reason, actually. He had his faults. He wasn't the most hands-on person to work with or whatever, but he did teach me a lot of very valuable things. And one of them was the importance of building before something happens within the company. Now, he joined that particular company. It's a company called Excel, a telecoms company. And at the time, they were going through a dip. Again, remember that dip? You have that in business. And as is typical with networkers, everyone was sitting on the fence. They weren't building this, that, and the other. Now, Carlos came from a traditional background, business background, a bit similar to mine. And he did his due diligence, and he saw what was going to happen a couple of years, because he could see they were going to get it right. And so he knew the business was going to explode. So he then went to work. Where everyone else was sitting on the fence doing nothing, he went working flat out. And he ended up building a big team. And of course, as he predicted, the company did get it right, his business exploded because he had all those people in his team. So where other people, as he said to me, where other people were, oh, right, now we can start working, Well, they were doing that. He was sitting on his yacht in the Caribbean, going fishing and that kind of thing. So that was the thing. He became the #1 income earner in that business as a result of what he put in place. So again, we know what we're going to be getting in the next couple of months. We know the business is going to absolutely explode when we get that. As I said, Wasco was, reckons that next year is going to be the momentum phase. Of course it is, because of the things he's put in place right now. So I urge you to understand what you've got, understand the rewards plan, and go out there, work with your upline, use the Power Build system to go out there and build and build and build. Because 3 years from now, there's going to be people on the stage earning millions of dollars. You're going to, living the dream, the cars, the houses, the lifestyle. Wow, fantastic. And there are going to be people in the audience, and they're going to be watching those people on stage going, wow, look at those guys. How lucky are they? But someone, in the audience is going, yeah, but, they got in first. Okay, now, in business, there's always a big advantage of getting in first. It's the way it is. It's the same, not just in network marketing, in every business around the world. When I invest in a startup company, what am I doing? I'm getting in first, aren't I? I'm buying shares for next to nothing with the plan that they're going to be worth a lot of money in the future. If you come up with a very clever business concept that explodes onto the market, you're the one that makes the money, not the people that come in later on. So getting in first is a significant advantage. And so, yes, that person who says that is exactly right. Those people did get in first, which gave them the advantage. And look at what the end result. However, what I would also say to that, so did thousands of other people get in first at the same time. You, everyone on this call here, are in first with CashFX. We're only 13 months old, so you can position yourself ahead of what's going to happen with this company. So you've just got to make a decision. Do you want to be one of the people sitting in the audience 3 years from now, or do you want to be one of the people on the stage living the dream? Because that's what you've got with this business, and I hope I've shown you that with this due diligence overview. So hope you found that helpful, guys. And all I would say is go to work. One of the features I've seen, you see the top income earners in CashFX, very different people, very different background, very different ages. We've got people, we've got grandmothers, we've got young people, we've got people in different countries around the world. As I said, very different personalities, and yet they're the top income earners. So what is the one sort of common denominator they have? And that is they're taking CashFX very seriously because they've done their due diligence, and they are going to work, and they are working really, really hard. Anyone that knows me knows that I work literally 24/7, and I'm doing that for a few years. That's, by the way, why I'm in this industry. When I was in the corporate world, yes, I was earning a lot of money, but every year I had to start all over again. I built nothing. Every year I had to start all over again. Even I see friends of mine in their traditional business, they may be making a lot of money, but they're just like hamsters on a treadmill because they're always chasing the next sale. They have to get the next sale. If they don't get the next sale, they could go out of business. And, a lot of them are now really struggling with what's happening with the virus and this kind of thing. So in network marketing as a business model, you work hard for a few years, then you don't have to work anymore. The money comes in. That's where the lifestyle is. So unlike other people that are making a lot of money, you're not only making a lot of money, but you've also got time freedom to actually enjoy it. So invest the time now to make the money so that you'll have the time freedom and the income to enjoy it in the future. So you guys are all in first. So that's my advice to you, is don't be one of the people in the audience. Get out there, work really hard over the next few years, position yourself before we launch the copy trading in November. Get as many people into your team as you possibly can. Set SMART goals. Again, if you want to learn all about that, it's all in the Power Build system. Go out there and create a future for yourselves. So, all right, guys, I hope you found that helpful and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for listening in. Take care.